My name is Shuaib. I'm from India, but moved to US 2012 for job. Typically, any other software engineer move here. So I was in H1B from 2012 and following this EB2 and EB3 category from that time onwards. And over the time, I realized it's not going to work out soon because everybody knows India has a big backlog. And I was trying to find what is the best way to move ahead because I like to make my family to be safe and get a right way to stay in the country of longer terms, especially when kids have become older. If you are concerned about their aging out and other stuff, right, in EB2 world. So that is a time my family, me and my wife start talking about what other options we have. So EB-5 come to our mind as one of the search, which have very promising ways that if you can make some money from your job or other way, shares or other things, you can use that money to follow EB-5. And this is the time I think I start looking for different conference going on, and then I attended one of your conference in San Jose, and your description details are very descriptive, which make me a lot more comfortable about your site to be used. Like I attended some other people's too, but I feel more comfortable with your details about the EB-5, different type of things you're doing on this area. And the other great thing that I found is this new project, which is actually like an investment where you get return. It's not like you're just putting on the loan and nothing coming back.
With respect to EB-5AN, over the last 4 years, you've been, really in contact with our team, not so much in contact with Coulter. So, what was that process like over the last 4 years? What information did you get? Did you feel like it was transparent and you had an idea of what was happening with the project over time? Tell us, after you made the investment up until you received your preferred return, what was that experience like?
Right. Yeah. That's so basically, after you invest the money, as everybody knows, right? EB-5 is not only about investing the money; it's also making sure your project gets successful and create a job, right? So you really want to see, do you have real traceability on the project, like what's happening there? Are they progressing or not? If they're progressing, how they're progressing, right? So from the EB-5AN, the one good thing I like is there is a quarterly update comes in the mail, which a detailed description about what project is doing. Initially, they're more talking about what they're doing, and eventually then talking about how much they are able to sell, what is percentage of all, and how much their project has money from EB-5 versus their own. So that gives you a good understanding on all coming from, I'm getting every quarter. So I'm not saying like I send the money and I'm blank. What happening, I don't know for 4 years. I can see every quarter, I see something from emails coming from EB-5AN as like saying quarterly update. And that has a whole detail about what's going on in the project in different stages, right? And that makes me also comfortable that our project is on track. That's important. They are creating jobs, which is critical for EB-5, and they are going to finish. So I think this all regular updates from your side, Sam, is really awesome.
Got it. So one of the main advantages of the Saltaire project was, a significantly higher, preferred return rate, because the project was structured as an equity project, right? Compared with many of the other, projects that you looked at, which were structured as loans. So what kind of made you comfortable, going into an equity style project compared to, some of the loan style projects that you looked at?
Yeah. So I think, let me give some little background, right? So technically, when you put the money, I not started thinking about this. Yeah, I am really looking for big return, but obviously it's always anybody who is putting money, because they're taking money from somewhere else and giving here, right? So from where they're taking out, obviously they are going to lose something because they make money from the money there, right? So
right.
Here, when I look this 6% or whatever the percentage we got is a good amount. It's not like you see the general, if you put that money on the bank, you get nothing technically. But here you get something which is much more than the bank. And my particular case, to get this whole amount, I also took the equity loan to cover up some part of the 500K that time. So the good thing work for me is that equity loan, I am paying back the interest, I am getting more return from the project. So technically, I'm the profit side in the end of the day. I'm not lost any money to the equity loan I took. Actually, I make more money from this money.
Great, great. So, your funds were invested for, about 4 years roughly, and we made distributions, fairly recently. What amount of money did you receive over that, roughly 4-year period?
Right. So roughly, I can say the money I got back in my account is roughly 118K, which is very good, 500K you put at 4 years, 118K is good money.
Yeah, exactly. And I could imagine, like what you just said, that you were able to borrow funds at, less than the annual return that you received in the project. So yeah, that worked out great. You were able to borrow money at a lower cost, invest it, and then, you ended up making a profit on the loan. So that's great. Got it. That's really helpful. All right, so now, having gone through the process, successfully gotten, your preferred return, gotten your green card approval, what advice would you have for, some, potential new investors? Obviously, I'm sure you're aware that the laws changed, and, EB-5 is more popular than ever today. So kind of having gone through the process successfully and had a good experience with the project and with the immigration attorney, what are a few kind of key points, in your mind, that would be, helpful for other investors like you who are in the U.S. already, maybe on H-1B or E-2, who are considering, starting EB-5 now.
Right. I think one thing, as you said, right, the rules change. With the rule change, the amount also change. So first thing, people should make sure they are ready with that. They should have a plan. The people like me, right, who are in H-1B, I think I no need to reiterate the word, the backlog for, especially for India, right? It looks like is an infinite loop is happening there. We don't know when things are moving and when your number will come. It's like nobody can predict now. So we really need to think through about what other options, and EB-5 as a top of the list, as you said, everywhere, because here and with the new rules, I think new investor has an advantage. I can see that with the new reserve quota they have, so they no need to really worry about some old backlogs which is coming and cleaning up obviously very fast now. But the current people are all immediately current, right? So they can invest money and immediately they are current. So I'm hoping they have more advantage than us right now in some cases. So they can immediately be current, they get their EAD, their APs, and go for, I'm also hearing that their I-526 approval is faster in some order. So like, if once you go out from this H-1B loop, stamping and all, and go on EAD and AP, your life will be totally different. At least not only you, your kids' life are also very different. Like I have a son who is in college. I can feel it now. He's very happy because once we got EAD, he started doing all jobs after college and whenever he want, which is impossible when he was in H4. So I really say people, if they can make the money, the amount, obviously it's not small, if they can make it, and they should look for this EB-5 approach. And some of the projects who has returns, basically they don't need to worry about, they are just putting money, they are also getting return, right? So
in terms of picking a project, what are the most important, 2 or 3 things that you would tell people to look at, when they're doing EB-5 and they're, picking among 5 projects? What are the most important 2 or 3 items to look at, in your opinion?
right. So I think one thing in my case is you can see their background and the history, past history. Like Coulter case, I think this project, before this, they also did the other project. So their success rate was pretty 100%. And so their track record, basically, we should found some track record, right? That basically give you the person who is able to do this thing 2 times or 3 times, doing 4 times is always easy for them. And they also understand the market where you're putting the money, and the people who are using your money, they know what they're doing, right? So looking their background is very important, their history, what they did, obviously. And second is when you find out, and always you end up with 2-3 projects. So obviously when you have attorney, right, you can talk to your attorney about what else you can look on that. And then EB-5 right, you people already only get in the projects who are really good. So I'm not saying as an investor we have to do a lot of work. I think you people done most of the work for us. We have to just pick the best one which we like it.